Last week, right after my birthday, I finished my diary and I thought, let us have a look through it together. So cozy up, make yourself a warm cup of tea, and let's talk about all of the lessons that I learned throughout my journey as this diary was accompanying me. Already in the first few days of being 23, I learned so many lessons, and that's why, to be honest, the year 23 feels kind of significant because of that. It's like there's some form of gut feeling that there will be many changes happening, but in a good way. It's like, the silence before the storm. That's how I'm feeling right now. And to give you a taste of what I mean, I have the perfect example for you, which also involves my diary. I am low-key kind of even ashamed to show you my new diary because look at her. This was my previous diary. If you're interested from where I got it, it's from the company Paper Blanks and it's the Bronte Sisters edition. You have the Bronte sisters in the background. I wanted to buy one that was equally as cute and equally as whimsy as this one. However, I went through all of the bookstores in my city, but I could not find a good diary that just matched to my liking. So I ended up getting this. But like, to cut her some slack, I actually do like just plain black diaries. I prefer them over any other design if it's not cute enough. On this day, I had planned this cozy day where I thought, oh, I will go out to the city, I will buy a cute whimsy notebook for myself. Maybe I will just wander a bit more throughout the city and then I will end the day with a good, nice cup of coffee somewhere in a cute coffee shop. None of that worked out. I went to all kinds of bookstores, but I couldn't find any diaries that I liked. I then decided to just walk around the city a little bit more, but the place was so cramped that I just got overstimulated and I ended up going to a coffee shop where the coffee was okay, but the dessert that I got was actually terrible and expensive. So I was sitting there in that bakery and contemplating my whole life, my whole time that I invested into this morning, realizing that when I came home that I had spent like 20 euros, for the coffee and for the dessert, but I came home with empty hands and basically just wasted my time in a way. And that left me feeling super frustrated. But then I started to look back on the situation and then I realized, what's the use of crying over spilled milk right now? Like, okay, this day didn't work out as I wanted it to, but when does life really work out the way you want to? So I thought I have two options. One, I could just stay at home and be frustrated and sad all day long that this day didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Or two, I could maybe try again. And that's exactly what I did. And that's why I'm actually really grateful for this diary because even though it's just plain black and not as cozy as I wanted it to be, it already thought to me what growth can be. It doesn't have to always be this big sudden event that changes everything. Sometimes growth can also just be about trying again. I have not even written one sentence in this diary and I have already learned a good lesson with her. I went to a mall and the atmosphere was actually super calming and super fun to just stroll around. I went to the bookstore where I found this diary and then I also ended up buying myself a cozy book. And then there I was standing at the bus station waiting for my bus back home, feeling super content and happy that I actually managed to turn the day around this way. But to not lose focus from my old diary, I thought we could just go together through some pages and just talk about what kind of memories I made, what kind of lessons I learned. And I almost forgot, most importantly, I wrote a letter to myself that I am supposed to open when I finish this diary, and that's like one of the parts that I'm so excited about. But first, let's just look through my diary in general. I actually started this diary on the 12th of February this year, and I even put in a little picture from me and my puppy that is Bumby. At that time, he was 9 months old, so I feel like that picture is definitely very, very cute. Moving on, I also try to draw these two portraits of these two women. I love to draw and paint, but regarding portraits, I am such a bad painter or drawer, or however you say that. I can draw a good nose, can draw good eyes, I can draw a good mouth, but when it comes to combining everything, it's like just really weird. I don't like to have things that I'm not good at. It just kind of bothers me. So I had made the decision that I will just try to draw those portraits. However, these were the first two portraits that I drew in this diary and also the last one. On the 22nd of February 2025, I had two really wonderful and juicy realizations about life. While I was on my healing journey, I was trying to find out what it means to have your inner world as your anchor, what it means to be your truest, calmest self and not let any outer experiences or anything that happens outside of you influence your inner world, your inner calmness. One of the things that I noticed was that a lot of the people who are calm and laid back and content with life tend to always believe in a sort of higher power. And with that, I don't necessarily mean that you need to become spiritual or religious to be able to be calm. Those people just have this perspective on life from a higher perspective. Like if you imagine one of your problems right now, but then again, imagine yourself sitting in this room, sitting in your house, sitting in your street, in your city. Then imagine the country that you live in, or the continent that you live on, or the world that you live on. Then continue to zoom out on all the planets that surround us, on our solar system, on our Milky Way and our galaxy and other galaxies that exist there. And then look back on your current problem. How much does this problem really matter in comparison of the vastness of the universe? Every little issue suddenly does not really affect me that much anymore. Either you believe in a higher power and the universe and its energies, or you just look at us from a scientific point of view where you just imagine the vastness of the universe. Nevertheless, you will come back to yourself and realize that any worries that you might have right now aren't necessarily the end of the world. And this connects so well to the next realization that I had. I got my driver's license about 3 years ago, but I still remember overthinking everything. I woke up in the morning of my exam, my hands were trembling, my hands were cold and shaky and sweaty, and I was just worrying that I might not be able to pass the exam. But nevertheless, I took a box of pralines with me to gift to my driver's instructor in case I passed the exam. Maybe that's like a Slavic thing, but I just felt like I would love to give him a nice little gesture to show my gratefulness to him for teaching me how to drive. I took this box of pralines with me to the exam, not even knowing if I will pass the exam or not. Even though I was worried and anxious that I will fail, I still had something with me, which I believe subconsciously influenced my mindset to believe that I can actually succeed. You can also apply this in your daily life. Like if you want to move into a new apartment, maybe create a wish list of the things that you want to have in your apartment. Or if you're having an exam as well, just take a little reward with yourself, saying that if you pass this exam, you have this with yourself as a treat for yourself for passing the exam. If you don't pass it, you can cry and eat it as well. So I guess that's a win-win. And then on the 22nd of June, I was having a free writing morning session with myself. Totally highly recommend if you're a person that tends to overthink, just writing out anything that's on your mind. Even if you have nothing on your mind and you don't know what to write about, write down exactly that. I don't know what to write about. You can also just set a timer for like 10 minutes. And if that's the only sentence that comes into your mind, then just write that for 10 minutes. But when I do these things, I always feel so calm and collected and grounded afterwards. I definitely give you a big recommendation to that. And I still remember the evening before this free writing session, I saw a girl online posting her journey online of her sickness, which could not be treated. She just shared her thoughts about how she feels about knowing that she will die soon and knowing that she will die at a young age and will not be able to live the standard life where you grow old with somebody together. And she mentioned one thing that stuck with me so much. Your age does not define how fulfilling your life is. It's your experiences, memories, and adventures that actually make your life fulfilling. Instead of tying your life to your age and measuring it by that, you should rather just look solely on your memories and your thoughts and experiences that you're having and define by that how happy of a life you live. So even then, if you don't get to grow old, that doesn't mean that you didn't live a happy life. So instead of just focusing on the accomplishments that I want to make at a certain age, I am just grateful to be able able to wake up every day and to see the sun again, to be able to read my favorite books again, to have a nice warm cup of tea or just write a bit in my diary. Those are the things that make me feel happy, that make me feel fulfilled and content with my life. And that's what I'm choosing to focus on more. I hope that what I'm sharing actually makes sense, because it's kind of hard to just pull out of my diary and then just throw it out without no context. But I hope that you get it. It's not that you are not supposed to make goals for your life. It's really good to plan your life and have a sense of direction, but you should never forget to cherish the present moment the most and be happy and grateful for what you get to experience. And then on the 25th of June, I wrote down the question into my diary: why worry about your house burning down if there is no fire? Why worry about things that haven't happened yet or have happened but cannot be changed? I feel like this is such an obvious question, but if you go throughout your daily life, you tend to forget this. And this was something that happened to me on this day as well. That day I was at the mall and there was a storm coming up, but I had thought, I will be able to make it on time because I just needed to get a few things. However, right as I was walking through this mall, I saw through the windows it was not raining, but it was just pouring in buckets. And that was the moment where I remembered that I had left my window open at home and started to hurry back home. But during it, I was starting to overthink and worrying that, oh my god, if I will come back home, everything will be flooded. I started to occupy my mind with a scenario that didn't even happen yet. I was thinking about how the apartment will be flooded, how I won't be able to get my deposit back. I ended up coming home filled with stress and anxiety to realize that yes, I did leave my window open, but none of that rain actually got inside. I realized that I was worrying for nothing. And that's how this question came into my mind. Why worry about a burning house if there is no fire? You're allowed to worry, but only then when the issue is real. Why worry about a scenario that only exists in your mind? And a few days later, I had another realization about my daily life, and I think I would just read it out to you. When was the last time I was more sensual to myself? When was the last time I truly allowed myself to indulge in my current tasks without already rushing into the next one? It's okay if I forgot about this. That happens, especially when everything is so rushed these days. But it's important to remember and to act upon it, to fill the soul and not the mind. You're going through these tasks, but already always thinking about the next one instead of just indulging in the current moment. It seems like the next moment will be better, or that it is more important than the current one, when you choose to see the beauty in the present moment and see what you can learn from it rather than just wanting to rush to the next bestest thing. And then on the 8th of July, I had realized that I haven't journaled for a week or so, but because I didn't feel like there were any events or any realizations happening that were exciting, I felt like this week was boring. But what exactly was boring about that? The fact that I got to wake up every day and see my puppy and play with him and go out with him and enjoy my life with peace and calmness? What about that is boring? Or are all of these events actually blessings? If boredom is actually a blessing, boredom cannot exist in a place where you are in a fight for survival. If you're abundant, you have nothing to worry about, and that is the point where the boredom comes in. You don't have to search for food, you don't have to search for a warm place to sleep, you don't have to flee from any occurrences that are happening in your life. So is boredom truly a negative thing, or is it rather something that we should all cherish more? Maybe like a loving friend that comes over once in a while, and instead of just pushing him away, we rather choose to embrace them and sit with them for a while. And then on the 10th of July, I just dropped this one phrase into my diary: don't let comfort kill your dreams. And since I moved to a new country, which was quite very spontaneous, I wasn't really able to take any art supplies with me. So in July, I just went to a store and just bought a box of cheap paint and brushes just so that I can draw at least a little bit. That resulted in me painting this sort of sunset with a river landscape on the 10th of August. The brushes weren't of the best quality. The paint wasn't of the best quality. You cannot really layer anything with this paint, but that has helped me so much to let go of perfectionism. I just continue drawing. Like, I'm a person, if something doesn't really work out the way I want to, I often tend to just stop and start anew. But with this painting tool, I thought, this is a perfect occasion to just allow myself to draw and not aim for perfection, but rather just enjoy the journey. So yeah, maybe this painting does look terrible, but I was not bothered by it in that moment. And I think that is so much more worth than having a perfect painting. And then on the 17th of August, I actually tried another time because I realized this process is actually so fun to just allow myself to be the way that I am and also allow the brushstrokes on paper to be the way they are, even though if they're not perfect. So as I found my joy in the process, I actually drew another picture, which I actually really like. Looking back on it, I feel like it's actually quite nice, isn't it? If you can't tell, it's supposed to be the ocean with a little tree, which I'm now realizing doesn't even make sense. How can a tree like that grow in stones like these? Letting go of perfectionism, I guess. We're not asking questions here. And throughout this diary, I made a little series called A Little Progress Every Day to Become Softer Towards Yourself. I just thought that I would give you a quick rundown of all the practices that I have collected in this diary that helped me to become softer towards my own self. The first practice that I discovered for myself was to explore myself through movement, to allow myself to just be and stretch and move and feel my body and linger in every stretch and see how it softens, how my breath deepens, and I therefore become more present and more softer towards myself. The next practice was about learning to be still and just noticing the world around you, and through that, see how you can remain as this wonderful, calm anchor in the present moment. Once you pause like this, you begin to notice the little things around you, the air on your skin, the sounds in the distance, or the rhythm of your own breath. This in return starts to soften and ground you so much more into your soul, into your body. Another wonderful practice is to learn to embrace slowness. It also calms down your nervous system, by the way. So much of life pushes us to move faster, to tick off the next thing, to already be thinking ahead. But when you choose to slow down, whether it's a simple walk, stirring your tea, or even doing something that takes hours, you give yourself permission to be here. In slowness, the task stops being about finishing, it becomes about savoring. Moving slowly lets you notice the tiny details you would usually miss. It turns ordinary moments into something almost sacred. But I would correct myself here and say that it turns moments into something that is definitely sacred. Then on the 23rd of August, I just wrote down this little text that I found so beautiful in a way that I just thought I would read it out to you as well. I don't date to love. I date to devour. To devour your soul fully into mine, to consume you with all your imperfections until they imprint onto me and our souls become one. Till the moment when I catch myself cussing the same words under my breath you use when you're furious. And I think that just kind of sums me up as a person. And then I decided to indulge into some more imperfect art. I just look up a picture on Pinterest that I want to draw as well, and I'm not allowed to erase anything. This resulted in me drawing this little two pair of cats. I know you can't tell that these are supposed to be cats. Those are two cats laying and cuddling in bed surrounded by trees. It kind of gives me this cozy feeling, and because it's so imperfect, it sums this coziness up so well in my eyes. And there are so many more lessons in this diary, but I'm now realizing that if I share each and one of them, this video will be probably 3 hours long. So instead, I decided to now just jump to the biggest lesson that I learned as this diary was accompanying me on my journey, which was about learning and realizing that I need to set much clearer and much stronger boundaries when it comes to my own self. I had this realization recently where I was thinking about all my past relationships that I have had. I realized that every time when I would get together with people, they would thrive in this relationship, they will become their bestest selves and tell me about how they have never experienced a love so deep like this. But while they were thriving and becoming the bestest versions of themselves, I I was constantly drained. I think I would describe myself as a loving and kind person. I want to see others thrive and I want to help others become their bestest versions of themselves, but I realized that this mindset at times has also turned against me. I tend to fall in love with, and not only relationships, I love everyone around me. Will it be friendships, partnerships, or any relationships regarding my family? I tend to fall in love with the vision that I have of them. I have this vision of them being their bestest selves where they achieve all of their dreams. This is what I tend to fall in love with rather than with who they are at the moment. Because I want to help them get to this bestest version of themselves, I also often tend to overlook any red flags that appear. I was having a hard time to make this distinction between what is actually a true red flag and what is just a flaw in a person. We all carry flaws, and what am I ready to accept? What is worth accepting? And what is a behavior that is actually hurting me more than actually loving me, if that makes sense. So as I was reflecting on my past relationships, I noticed that I have this pattern of thinking, why me? I am this loving and kind person. I want to see others thrive. I want to support others. So why do people end up always hurting me? The problem is in being kind and loving, but without any boundaries. You have to realize that sometimes people come into your life and they don't want to grow with you. They don't want to walk this path together with you, but they feel safe and comfortable in your light, in your love. So they would rather just stay and bathe in it and enjoy it. But that's it. Sometimes people don't want to move through life with you, but they just want to enjoy that light of yours. And that is definitely something that I still need to work upon and only realized a few days ago. So I hope this talk actually makes sense because I'm still having a hard time to actually phrase this thought into words because I have not fully integrated this realization into me. If you are loving and kind and gentle, you just have to be extremely clear about your boundaries and be very strict with them. Like you have to filter out every single person that you let into your life because you are comfortable, you are a safe space for others. So when people come into your life, they just dump all of their emotions onto you because you feel safe, because you feel comfortable. And that is the point where you are the one that needs to have some sort of boundaries and truly ask yourself, when are you ready to take up the emotions of others? When is it worth listening and helping others? And when is it not? I'm kind of like baffled because I've also realized how deep this actually goes. Like to realize that I grew up in a household that made me a people pleaser, that needed me to look out at others and see how they will react, see what they will do so that I can make it out alive in a way, just led me to listening and analyzing the people around me more than listening to my own self and not have clear and set boundaries because I am in that moment trying to be liked by this other person for some reason. As a child, you want to be loved by your parents, you want to feel that love and affection, but when that safe space, which is your parents, suddenly becomes this unstable place where you don't know what kind of a reaction they will have. They might hug you and give you a kiss, but then the next second they might want to hit you. It just leaves your inner state very unstable and not really fully understanding when the people around you actually have good intentions for you and when not. And to now realize that this problem has been existent ever since I've been little is a hard pill to swallow. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm kind of having mixed feelings because I'm thinking, wow, I'm 23 now and it took me 23 years to realize that. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, I'm glad that I realized that, even if it took me 20 years to realize that, but nevertheless, it happened, and that is the most wonderful thing. I can now heal from it and move on, become the better version of myself in a way. I've been putting this off for so long now, but I guess it is time to open the letter that I wrote to myself when I started this diary. Here she is. Dear love, I seem to already feel in my bones how special this diary and letter will be. I didn't even start writing earlier and I already had the biggest smile on my face. It's like a deep knowing that you in the future are reading this and smiling brightly. Our life has truly unfolded into the best ways possible. I am forever grateful that I get to experience this with you. I think I have to clarify what I mean with this you. I do the things for my future self. So I often addressed myself in my own letters with this you form because I'm kind of talking to this future self. And maybe I do kind of see them as separate versions, my present or my past self working hard for my future self and showing gratefulness to this future self while my future self also shows gratefulness back to my past self. I hope this makes sense, but if you don't get it, that's okay. I do. Right now, I feel like I'm walking through life with a blindfold on. I don't know where everything is unfolding and where I will be, but I am in a flow like state. No worry whatsoever plagues my mind, and I again have this deep trust that I am going into the most wonderful way. I feel like after all these months of uncertainness, I have finally made peace with the universe's surprises. It's actually fun and freeing to not have a sense of direction. I get to embrace every day with complete presentness and love towards the world because my mind is not occupied thinking about upcoming events. I hope we manage to upkeep this level of peace wherever you are. Who would have thought I would be in a new country when I wrote this? Wow, this is actually so cute and so beautiful because back at the time as I wrote this letter for reference, I was sending out applications to get a vocational training for my dream job, but I was not able to get any answer whatsoever. And that was the time when I made the decision that I will just learn on my own. And it was still kind of fresh, like this new path that I decided to go on was still kind of fresh. And that is why I was filled with so much uncertainty. But to look back on it now and to realize that everything did in fact happen, everything that we dreamed of actually did become true, just gives me such a warm feeling in my chest. Oh, and the next passage is so sweet, I think. I hope our dreams have come true. They have. And I hope we have fallen in love with life even more. We have. Currently, I'm investing a lot of time into studying for us. I study all day long with loving breaks, of course, and even here I am experiencing a lot of peace of mind. I'm going with the flow once more. I do hope that we have more free time on our hands in the future so we can draw, read, learn more. Just what I said, like my past self, like I love her so much. She was just studying so much, like from morning till night, and now I have the free time to work my dream job, but also sit down here and record this wonderful YouTube video. And I also have time for TikTok, I have time for my puppy, and that is why I have such a deep love for this past version of me, and that's why this diary will be so significant to me. My love. Please continue shining brightly and sharing your passions. Continue growing, and please remember that everything you see is not everything there is to life. Do not let yourself be deceived by what is in front of you, but rather look within and trust that everything is going your way. Our dreams, goals, and visions are in our mind for a reason. They are there for you to pursue them. Turn your life into a work of art. Dance sensually to that music. Make your breakfast table as beautiful as if your ancestors would eat with you. Dress as if everything you are doing is part of a movie. This is your life, and this is something I have come to realize in the past few weeks. My search for outer validation has finally stopped. I no longer care what our mother thinks. This is so freeing. And I still remember how freeing that felt. If I talked about this earlier, I still catched myself going out and thinking what others are thinking of me. But I have finally released this fully. If we want to, we can literally walk to Croatia if we want, right? Nothing and no one is holding us back, and while I do know that you embody this now even more, this shall be just a reminder to you. Like, in my past, I already knew that this will work out. Like, this is, oh, I'm just dropping a reminder here. Like, I know, Be endlessly devoted to us and our life. Here are some current life updates so you can look back onto it later. And some of the events was that I was actually thinking about moving to this new country, which I did, which was very random, very spontaneous, happened like in a month or so, but still so grateful. Like, sometimes I have no idea how I move about life. Like, I have no source of income, but nevertheless I just moved countries. I guess that's just how it goes. I have been slacking in my yoga and meditation practice lately, but I'm getting back into it. Now I'm also again doing yoga in the morning. I actually managed to deepen my yoga practice even more, so I'm actually really proud that we continued working in this. Oh, and my TikTok account has 5,000 followers now, and I'm immensely proud of that. I've been just embodying myself, and so many people are resonating with that, which I find truly beautiful. Who will tell her that we now have 20,000 followers? I talked about that in my previous video, so I'm not going to talk about this again here. I'm currently rereading Dracula since it gives me those cozy vibes. Dracula, bestest book ever, what should I say? Honey, I love you dearly. I can't tell you more than to continue shining your light. Continue being your smiley self. Be love, spread love. I'm sending you all my love. Remember that I'm cheering for you. I'm building the foundation for you, so if you ever feel like giving up, you can lean back onto me. Don't worry, I got you. Always. No matter who I love, you will always be my number one. With all my love, Anna. Not to sound like too selfish, but truly, my first love and most intense love will definitely be the one with myself. I hope this does not sound weird, but it's like, it's not like, oh, I'm the greatest and I love myself so much, but it's like I have built such a deep and strong foundation for my own self where I just support myself as much as I can. And as my past self built this foundation so that I can lean back onto it, is what I'm actually kind of doing right now. Like, I was studying every day so that I can work this wonderful job, and now I am working this wonderful job and also kind of get to just enjoy life and bask in the blessings and in the rewards of my work that I invested into this life. This is a wonderful and lovely letter, and I have no idea how I'm supposed to write a better one than this, but it's just so interesting because what I feel in those moments when I read these love letters that I wrote from myself to myself is this deep connectedness and this knowing that everything did actually work out. And while I was writing that letter, I felt the same energy that I'm feeling right now, a smiley, warm version of me, and it's just such a wonderful way to connect with myself again and to check in and see how things are going. So, if you have never done that before, I totally recommend just writing a short, lovely letter to your own self, and then you will actually see how much love you actually carry for yourself as you look back on these letters. I think I will need another minute to just reflect on this wonderful letter and just think about life's events once more because it's just so crazy how all of these things have worked out and worked out even in the bestest scenario. If you stay till the end, I'm so grateful that you did. I hope that there was something that you could take with you from this video, and if not, I hope that you at least had a cozy, wonderful time with me as I looked back on my diary together with you. I'm glad that we got to share this moment with each other, and I'm sending a lot of love from my heart to yours wherever you are. Bye bye.